Swiss steak, take one. Okay, there we go. There we go. I'm so excited when something turns out. Here we got a little chives going on, or I would normally have done it with. Yeah, sorry, I can't lift it. I don't have long enough arms to push it back. Okay, hey babe, cheers.
Cheers.
Swiss steak, baby.
All right, Michigan style.
Okay, hi, I'm Amy Roloff, and I'm in my little kitchen. It is finally, a typical rainy day here in the Pacific Northwest. So, we're going to kind of make something that I kind of grew up with a lot. I remember having it, with my mom making it, gathering around my kitchen table with my family, my dad, my siblings, and everything. So we are making Swiss steak. Especially in the wintertime, you do a lot more stews, casseroles, soups, and sometimes those require a little bit tougher meat. Tougher meaning you have to prep it a little bit more. It'll take time to cook, and it needs to be in a liquid. It needs to be seared or braised and then cooked in a liquid. So that's what Swiss steak is all about. So it'll kind of remind you of similar other dishes, but I really like this because you do get to use a tougher meat. It's great served over mashed potatoes because that's warm and comforting too. So anyway, I've got about 2.5 pounds of bottom round steak. Now in the grocery store, in fact, I went out this morning to get some of this stuff. In the grocery store, they had the roast. And if you find a good roast, you could probably slice it in thicker slices, but I bought it when it was already sliced because I think that's a lot easier. This doesn't have a lot of fat running through it, so that's why it's very important to season it a little bit, brown it, and then finish cooking it for probably about a couple hours in like a really nice, rich, beefy tomato broth type of thing. So let's get going and make Swiss steak. So the first thing we want to do is, forget that. Before I totally ruin my cutting board, let me get my garlic going. I debated whether to put green peppers in it, and so I'm going to avoid that and maybe save this for an egg casserole that I'm going to do. But I have 2 stalks of celery chopped up here. I only put 1 carrot, but I have 1 carrot and about 1/2 of a large onion chopped. Then I've got some of my flour here because we're going to coat the bottom round steak a little bit. But also, if you don't want like a clear broth, I'm just going to make a little bit of roux just so we can have it feel like a little saucy and a little thicker. Then I've got 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes because I love those. I have maybe 2 tablespoons, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And then, to keep me going, people, I have my cup of coffee. And then I have some beef broth here. Or if you could find it, beef stock, which I happen to have this in my pantry. So we're just doing beef stock, but I think, or beef broth. But I think if you found beef stock, that has a more richer flavoring to it. And I think I'm going to do a little bit of oregano. And I was thinking maybe a little bit of rosemary. That could be a possibility. And I think I got some fresh stuff out in my herb garden. So it's simple ingredients. You have them in your pantry, you have them in your fridge. So simple recipe. So we're going to chop up some of these garlic. Depending on the size of your cloves, I'd say maybe 2. If you got really, little ones, maybe 3. So I'm just going to chop this up, kind of mince it really fine, chop it up really fine. And I bang it so that the skin comes off a whole lot easier. Okay. Here we go here. And I'm going to do this other one because I like garlic, and I just don't think the garlic was that big. I mean, look at this little thing. It's thin. This one was, well, I just chopped it. This one's thin too, so 3 garlic cloves is what I'm using. And this is another recipe. If you want green pepper in it, I'd probably only use about a half of a green pepper. Chop that up and add it to it. We've got tomatoes going on, so I didn't want to do red pepper. I think green pepper will add some color and obviously some flavor. And because we're braising this in kind of like a beef tomato broth, it's almost like you're making soup because we're starting with the basics of any soup or stew, and that's carrots and onions and celery. So if you want another herb to go with it, oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to get my Worcestershire sauce out of the refrigerator because that, you know, we're working with beef. That'll go great with it too. Man, I grew up with that a lot. Worcestershire sauce. I think I said it better than before. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of be in my kitchen all day today so I can get out some recipes to you guys. And I don't know, I just like cooking old favorites, whether it's the typical one or I'll do something slightly different to it. But I don't know, I just like good, comforting, reminds me of home kind of cooking. Okay, let me get a little bowl for this, because I am going to use this cutting board just to pound the meat a little bit. Okay. I don't know, did I? Yeah, I think I chopped that up enough. Oh yeah, see, I forgot my little garbage bowl. So I certainly hope you all are doing well by the time you see this video. So because this is a tougher meat, what I'm doing right now, it's just using a mallet, and see these little prongs, that'll help tenderize it. Sometimes with chicken, I'll use the flat side or something like that, but so I'm gonna do a little bit of both sides. Do that. This is kind of fun. If you guys really wanna get a little bit of aggression out. It's so funny. I went ahead I had 4 of these, but I have people here helping me, you know, make this all happen. And I thought, well, we might have some of it. And then I thought, oh my gosh, if I'm making all this food today, I got to save a little bit for Chris. So I went back into the store to get one other piece of bottom round steak. And lo and behold, I'll probably have more than I need. So we're just tenderizing this a little bit. Like I said, I have not made this in so long. So parts of me is going by memory from long ago. And then parts of me is looking online of all the other recipes to see how everyone makes it now. See, this is the piece of beef that I got for Chris. And he'll love it with the mashed potatoes. Okay. Oops, salt. Oh my gosh, look at that. I was almost gonna put salt on this. So here we go. We're gonna put a little flour. Hopefully that's enough. I don't know, I may need more. We're definitely gonna put a little salt in the flour. I mean, I've got tomatoes here. I've got beef broth here, so, you know, just kind of be a little careful on your salt, because you don't want too much. And you're salting the meat. Okay, I'm gonna turn on my, and if you don't have any baking drippings, sometimes when I do meat, especially with beef or chicken, I will use leftover bacon drippings because come on, that adds so much flavor. But if regular oil will be fine, like canola oil or something like that. Because what we're gonna do now is really just brown the meat. So, I'm gonna do this. Just make sure you really flour it, dust it. Because this will help sear in and protect the meat too. I need another plate. Because I want this all ready. Should have rolled up my sleeves here. I'll have to do that afterwards. So we're just dusting it with flour. This will help with the gravy too, because your meat's got a little flour on it, with the rich beefy tomato sauce. Yep, I remember making this as a kid when I started learning to cook. And if I haven't told you guys already, I'm pretty much self-taught. I always say I put edible food on the table. Now I'm just learning how to, some of the whys, and also, I don't know, kind of making things look pretty. Put a little bit more on this. And you don't want to crowd your meat when you start cooking these, because what you'll have is a lot more juice and water. It's almost like you're steaming the meat instead of cooking it. I'm done with this, so I'm gonna put this in the sink. Okay. So we're gonna have to cook this in 2 batches. Okay, let's go get the Swiss steak, or the bottom round steak, because it is done over here on the stove. So I had to do it in 2 parts, so these are done. I'm gonna turn my pan off. But yeah, see, I think it's a nice brown color. Because you definitely don't want to finish cooking it as you're searing it, because this is a tougher kind of meat, so you want the meat to continue to cook and get all that flavors from the sauce. So I'm just gonna put those right here. Oh yeah, you know what? We still gotta saute the carrots and onions and stuff. So I'm bad, we're not quite done yet. So I'm gonna get my carrots and onions and celery. And I'm gonna add in a little bit more baking grease just to make sure that I don't have all of this stuff sticking. Okay. So we're just gonna kick this, oh my gosh, cook this a little further. And I have it, I'm doing this in the pan that I still did the meat in, but we're gonna put everything else in a bigger, like a brazier pot. You know, if you've got a big enough Dutch oven, but I have a Le Creuset, but look at how big this is. So all the meat will lay flat, but they'll be covered in the beef tomato sauce. Because you don't want the meat not covered in the sauce, because that's the thing that will help cook it. Because I want a little flavor over there, I'm going to add in a little bit of oregano, a little bit of salt. Just a little bit, because like I said, you don't want to over salt your food, but you also want to add flavor as you're cooking. As you're cooking along in the different steps. Oh boy. Tell you the truth, I think I need to lift weights more. I forgot that this is a brand new seasonal bottle. And you know, I think it's really important at the different seasons, you know, like spring, summer, fall, winter, check your spices. Check your, like, oregano, your basil, your cinnamon, and all of that. Because if you haven't used it for a long time, I think it's a good thing to use your herbs and spices that have not, quote, expired on the bottle. Oh my gosh, why can't I do this? Use the handle of a fork or a spoon. Okay. Oh, oops. It's okay, it's just paper. Okay. We're just gonna sprinkle a little bit of oregano. So when I say a little bit, it could be a dash, maybe a quarter of a teaspoon. You know, tell you the truth, I love these little things for the cast iron pans and stuff, because man, I forget sometimes that the handle is hot, and believe me, I burnt my hand. But see, we got kind of our veggies going on here. I think they need a little bit more. In the meantime, I have 2 tablespoons of flour right here. We are going to add in, I don't know, I always forget when I make a roux. And I want to do this because I don't want like a clear, very runny broth, but I don't want an overly thick. We're not creating stew, but I just want to create a little bit of thickness to the sauce. So I got 2 tablespoons of flour here. Normally I just pour this in, so what, 3 tablespoons of beef broth. And I try and get low sodium. So I'm just using a whisk. We're just gonna, just enough. It may not even feel like it's thickened at all, but over time it will, I'm hoping. Like I said, I'm too afraid to make too thick of a sauce. But there we go. So we're gonna keep this over here. And then, okay, we might as well just add my tomatoes in here. So 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes. We're gonna add in a couple of tablespoons of tomato paste. Oh, you know what I should do? Sorry, guys. If you want to save a pan, because I made the mistake of not doing the carrots and onions and celery in here on the stove, I'm going to go ahead and cook a little bit of this tomato paste in with the carrots, onions over here, and then we're going to add everything to here, okay? So that was what, 1 tablespoon? You only need about maybe 2 at the most. So yes, I did a little boo-boo. But you know what? It's all gonna be good. Oh yeah, and you know what? That reminds me, I've got to add in my garlic. Gotta have garlic. Gotta clean up my mess here, peoples. Sometimes I need my glasses. That's why I love wearing an apron that has pockets. Oops. Okay, see? Look at how rich that looks. That's why you want to cook a little bit of your tomato paste so you get kind of that rustic, kind of, you know, the tomato is cooked out a little bit, but it creates lots of flavor, but it's also incorporated with your veggies. Okay. Yeah, I did kind of a boo-boo, people. But that's okay. It's all gonna work out. Hang on here. We're just gonna add the garlic, carrots, onions, veggies, tomato paste all in with the fire roasted tomatoes. Oh yeah, by the way, I have my oven preheated at 325 degrees. You want to cook it slow. If you want to do it at 300, I think that will work too. Because this is going to cook or bake or finish cooking in the oven for at least a couple hours. Tell you the truth, I suppose if you wanted to cook this in the crock pot, you probably could. I've never done it before. If you cook it on low, it'll definitely probably take like 6 hours. Now let's get this stuff going. Okay, we got our tomatoes in here, all these veggies. We are going to add in at least 2 cups of broth, beef broth. I have low sodium. Whoops. Stir that around. And I might add a little bit more after I put the meat in here, because like I said, I want the meat to be covered in the juice so that it can help finish cooking it, but also tenderize the meat. We're gonna go ahead and put this over on the stove. And the reason I want to do that, because I want to make sure this little itty bitty roux that I have, oops, will, you know, kind of help thicken it before we put it in the oven. Seriously? No.
Yeah, loosen it.
Oh. People, I have to work out a little more. Well, we're just gonna, I don't know. Maybe a teaspoon. I think Worcestershire sauce for this adds a little more flavor than maybe soy sauce or something else. Okay, let's see here. Heck, I get enough exercise going up and down the stool. Okay. We're just gonna add in the flour. It's got a little bit of salt and pepper. And I mix it in with a little beef broth because we got beef broth in here. I don't want to use water. Okay. I have a feeling I'm going to add in a little more beef broth. So I added 2 cups already. Let's see about our meat. And believe me, if you have juices on your plate that you put the meat on, go ahead and add that to it. Flavor, people. It's all about flavor. I'm going to lay these in here. See, I knew I didn't have to get that other extra piece of meat, but we're gonna squeeze it in here anyway. Look at all that juice from the meat. Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and add in probably about another cup of beef broth, because it isn't quite covered. Now, if you think you're diluting this a little bit, you can go ahead and just add in just a little bit more tomato paste to kind of create that rich, continue to have that rich sauce. Okay. And Lisa, if you want to come over here and let everyone know how your meat should be covered and immersed.
Looks delicious.
Because this is all about braising it. We seared the meat. We want it covered in the juices so it helps to cook it, number one, but more importantly, to tenderize it as well. Okay, people, I'm going to take a breather for a minute because as I look over this counter, did I include everything? Because I often forgot something. And as I tell you guys, I try and do my best on these videos, but definitely follow the recipe because there's often something that I might have forget, and you know, I look over the recipe once, twice, 3 times, I don't know, but anyway. So let me see here. Yes. I probably would have added just a hint of rosemary, but we're just gonna leave it at oregano. But I'm gonna put rosemary in my recipe. You don't want a lot of rosemary because I think it's a very strong herb. So maybe 1/4 of a teaspoon, maybe at the most. So anyway, and so when this is about halfway away from being done, you can start making your mashed potatoes. So I'm gonna go ahead, put a lid on this. I've got my oven heated up at 325. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna stick it in the oven, and I'll see you back here in about 2, maybe 2.5 hours after I think it's done cooking. So hopefully this will turn out. So this is Swiss steak in Amy Roloff's little kitchen. Okay, one thing I didn't realize, people, how heavy these pans are. Okay, there we go. See you guys later. Okay, so we are back. It's been about a couple hours. I just tested the meat. I think it turned out great. So it's Swiss steak. And I went ahead and made some, hey, Daisy, no. I went ahead and made some mashed potatoes. So hopefully Chris will like this because I'm gonna ask him to join us. Okay, can I even... Oh, heavy pan. Voila! I hope Chris likes this because he told me a story, but I'm gonna let him tell you it. What? Well, I can't. Well, you're not going to be able to get us both in here because with the pan here, Chris will have to sit all the way over there. Okay, Chris, you want to join us? Or join me, I should say.
Oh, goody.
Oh, well, it's food. I hope
know.
you like
I
this.
always look forward to trying your food.
But tell me the story because I grew up with having Swiss steak, you know, in Michigan, Midwest thing. And it's a tougher cut of meat. You know, you really have to take the time. It cooks for a long time, and if you allow that then the meat is really tender and good and stuff like that. So tell me your story. Why do you like this?
Well, I used to have dinner with my grandmother almost every Sunday, and there
Is that here in Portland? Or?
Yeah,
Okay.
and there were a couple dishes that she would serve for me that that I really liked, and one of them was Swiss steak. I also liked Swedish meatballs.
Oh.
But both her Swiss steak and her Swedish meatballs were with a white sauce, like cream of mushroom soup. So this is totally different, but so I won't be comparing yours to grandma's.
Phew! Well, this is how I grew up with it. More of a tomato-based sauce. Let me get a spoon here.
So that's a Michigan style.
Or Midwest or something. I don't know, but this is how I grew up with
Well,
it.
I'd be interested to know if my grandmother's Swiss steak using cream of mushroom soup, if that was just her thing or if that's a Northwest thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Because using a cream of mushroom soup type of thing reminds me more of a beef stroganoff.
Mm-hmm.
Than
That's
it would,
also another one of my favorites.
A Swiss steak thing. Okay, babe, you want to dish up some mashed potatoes, or I can? Because we're going to plop that meat right on the center of it.
Oh, right on top of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Oh, here's a good piece for you. Okay, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
No, wait a minute. I'm not done yet. Where's that spoon? You need some of the sauce because
Oh, sure.
that is like. There we go.
Looks good.
Oh, and you know what? I knew I had a reason for parsley, but since I don't have it, I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit this on. This is just chive.
Okay.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I better taste.
Ooh, look at that.
I better taste, right? Can I have a little mashed potatoes? Or should we do, no, I'll let you have that as your own, okay? And I'll only do like a little bit of meat. Okay, there we go. If you could put that over there. I am just gonna do like half of the meat. And just cutting this, the knife is going through it so nice.
So I may be
Easy.
able to cut this with a fork then.
Yeah. Okay, hang on. Okay, there we go. There we go. I'm so excited when something turns out. Here we got a little little chives going on. Or I would normally have done it with. Yeah, sorry, I can't lift it. I don't have long enough arms to push it back. Okay, hey babe, cheers.
Cheers.
Swiss steak, baby.
All right. Michigan style.
Mm-hmm. I just want a piece of the meat.
Well, this meat is tender.
Isn't
and
it?
I can cut it with my fork.
Is it okay?
Mm-hmm. You know, it's so tender and all the flavors and everything. It reminds me of stew meat.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
which
It
is
really does.
perfect. And
Yeah.
no, this is great
Yeah.
because this is excellent, huh?
And you know, a lot of dishes are a version of something else. Because you're right, this is kind of like a pot roast.
Yeah.
Or, you know, something like that served over this. But we're having it more of a Swiss steak. Maybe it's a different kind of meat that we're using. This is like a bottom round. And an eye of round roast is really good. And it needs the same treatment. But it slices very nice. But it's a different, it's more the tender part of whatever part of the cow. But this is bottom round, which is a little tougher. But braising it, because the one thing I did really quick, really first, is just dusting it with flour, but searing the meat. So it locks in all those juices. And then putting it in with, you know, sauteed carrots, onions, celery, and stuff like that.
Well, it's super
Yeah, is this
tender.
good? Okay.
And a lot of flavors. I mean, you know, all the things you put in the sauce really absorbed into the meat. This is excellent.
And to me, these are just basic potatoes, which I like because the potatoes complement it without having two separate items here. Oh, good, babe! See, that's my love language,
It is.
is cooking.
Well, you're gonna have to make this again.
Okay.
put this on my favorite list.
Okay. Mmm. Hold on. I took too big of a bite. Mmm. Mmm. I need a little drink. So you can find this recipe for Swiss steak over at amyroloffslittlekitchen.com, or please subscribe to my YouTube channel because you'll find this recipe over there as well. So I hope you make it. This is just my version of it. Again, you can change it up to make it your own, but if he likes it, then I'm loving it.
Highly recommend it.
So yeah. So from my little kitchen to yours, thanks for joining me. Bye.